while that's loading, which it is doing now, we might have to do this near the window to get it to work. It worked from there last time. I know, so advanced. And what I'll do is I'll load it while I introduce you, so that you get to connect. All right, so our next candidate is Sasha Jaffarove. Sasha is a 16-year-old high school student at Pacific Collegiate School in Santa Cruz. She has invented a cave mapper, which you see here, and is currently working on the 4th version of it. Sasha was the lead electrical engineer on a project that was sent to the International Space Station and has been on several panels, including at Pixar, Intel, Lockheed Martin, and Maker Faire, just to name a few. Last year, Sasha was photographed by National Geographic magazine, mapping Shasta Caverns, and is currently mentoring a young maker group of around 40 kids, 8 through 12 years old, at the downtown Santa Cruz Library. And in her free time, after all that, she paints, tinkers, plays her guitar, and snowboards. So welcome, Sasha. So you can just run through your presentation. I can still work on the other part. Still working? Here, maybe I just need to click a little bit further. There you go. Take it away.
Okay, so yeah, basically got introduced. Yeah. Oh boy. You know what? Let's do this. Okay. So, it's all good.
I think you have to point at the computer.
Let's see. I got it. I have to click on it. For it to work. There you go.
Okay, got it. Okay, so yeah, basically, STEAM and making has been a very big part of my life, and man, without it, I don't think I would be here, or even, I don't think I would be doing everything I would have been doing, you know. Ever since I was little, yes, I like to tinker and to build things, but without being introduced to STEAM and making in my life, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere, really. So, yeah. So STEAM, a lot of people are like, yeah, what's STEAM? And I'm like, okay, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And basically, you know, it's very interesting because it used to be STEM a while back, but I love how, like, you know, this new, you know, generation has, like, brought art into it, and I think art is especially important because, sure, you can have, oh boy, you can have something amazing, but if it doesn't have an elegant design, you know, there could be a lot of flaws attributed into that. And really we see how, you know, all these tie together, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, they tie all together, you know. You need to, you know, whether you're a doctor, a mathematician, you know, whoever you are in the STEAM field, you need to come up with some sort of creative solution when you have this, you know, certain problem of some sort. So, yeah, I feel like they're all tied together, and especially art is like has become a really big deal and has introduced a lot of younger kids into the STEAM field, starting with simple arts and crafts.
Oh, it's not working?
Yeah, it's all good. So, now on making, in my Young Makers group, a lot of the kids are like, oh, you know, I can't be a maker, and their parents are like, my kid's not good at making and doesn't really have a creative mind and can't really build stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, that's all good. Here, let me just bring the kid here to this table, and there's a bunch of, like, arts and crafts and, you know, servos and batteries and LEDs, and I just lay it all out, you know, on the table for them, and I say, hey, tell me the 3 things that you absolutely love to death, and build something that has something to do with that. And the cool thing about making is, you know, you don't have to be the first person to create it, you know, or you don't have to be, you know, you could just build whatever you want, or someone's already built it at school, you can build off of other people's ideas. It's very open source, you know? Another thing cool that I adore about making is that it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 80, you could be 10, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter if you're female, male, other, you know, you could be anything. It doesn't matter about your grades. You know, you could be a failing student or you could be an A student. It doesn't matter, you know, race, you know, how much money you have, it's not bound by any of that. You know, there are some kids in third world countries who are making amazing stuff out of just like random stuff that they find around their houses and stuff. It's beautiful.
Did you get your video working?
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, okay, it is 2017 and I've still been approached by people who are like, how does it feel to be a girl in engineering and like tinkering and stuff? And I'm like, why are we still asking this question? It is 2017, you know, and we are still asking, where are all the girls? Why are there only, you know, 3 girls out of 30 guys in this class? Like, it's crazy. I actually just recently went to California State Science Fair and of this year, and in our division, there was 13 male judges and 1 female judge. And I came up to her and I was like, kudos to you, because that's amazing that like you are the only female judge. And she was so inspiring and saying how like I should be like talking to all these girls and, you know, really bonding with them because, you know, we need to introduce more girls into this. And I was like, I totally agree. Even when I was in middle school, I was one out of another 4 girls, out of a class of 25 other guys. So there were 5 girls with 25 other guys, you know, in my intro to engineering class. And I remember the teacher always would always pair us up with a group full of guys, and the guys would never listen to us, and it would be very frustrating. And when we would all say, hey, by the way, can we all work together instead? Because like it felt more comfortable and open when the guys kept like shutting down, you know, our ideas and stuff. And they didn't know better, you know, that's how they were probably raised, or they're more guys than girls, I don't know. But anyway, and I remember my intro to engineering teacher, he always like, I don't know why, but he always like told me that I don't think that would work. I don't think you can do that. I don't think that's gonna work, etc., etc. And it kind of hurt me because, you know, in the beginning it hurt me, but then after that I was like, okay, now that you said I definitely can't do it, I need to do this. Like, I'm gonna put my heart and soul into this until I prove you wrong. And actually sometimes he was completely wrong and I was correct. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is that, you know, this is not the right attitude to have. You know, we should be encouraging, you know, not only girls but guys also. It should be equal, you know. Just because, and as parents also, like I'm not a parent, but like as I see other parents and their kids in my Young Makers group, I feel like, you know, the parents also be encouraging their kids instead of saying, here, let me hold that for you, let me do this for you, and then they end up doing the project for them. I don't think that's a smart solution. So yeah, basically I feel like we should really be cultivating and, you know, saying, oh, girls can totally do this, and like, you know, I know there's tech girls, there's Maker Ed, there's Girls Who Code, and like tons of other programs are starting to advocate for this, which is great. Yeah, so another thing that I'm really passionate about as well is, you know, grades and our school system currently. And because, okay, I went to this talk, I don't remember where it was, I believe it was on some university campus, it might have been Stanford, I don't know. But, and I remember there's like these couple high school students on this panel, and they were talking about, you know, our education system. I was like, great. And then like they asked like, what grades did you get or something? And they're like, oh, well, I'm an average B student, I'm an average A student. I was like, oh, so you guys don't really know what it's like to be in that position. But they were advocating for the right things. Now, as someone who has not, most of my tests have been under a C. I barely passed my tests in class. And I don't learn in a regular lecture environment. And I actually have very good metaphor for this that I brought up right before, or a couple months before I had a different anyway. But basically, I like to make this metaphor where, okay, everyone's a different type of nut based on their personality. So, you know, I could be a pecan and someone else could be like a peanut. And our school system only is for peanuts and almonds. Yeah, so peanuts and almonds. And me as the pecan, no matter how hard I try, I can't be an almond. Like, I can't just magically transform, you know? So just because, you know, the current school system only applies to, like, I don't know, auditory maybe a little bit and visual learners a little bit and sort of helps them out, that doesn't mean just because I'm failing school, that doesn't mean I'm dumber and incapable of learning just as well as they are, you know? And I'm not the only one. There's so many people out there who are struggling with the same problem of trying to thrive in a school that's just not right for them. So I definitely agree, as you mentioned earlier with the whole project-based thing, I definitely agree with that. And I think we should not only have project-based and not only have lectures, not only, you know, have auditory stuff, but we should have all of them. And maybe there's some way in the future that, you know, the school system will actually realize that they're losing a lot of people who have so much potential. Not only me, but all these other people who are hands-on learners and don't, you know, can't sit still in a lecture and can't really, you know, when they look at something, they think of millions of different things. There are so many people like that that I've met who've said, yeah, I might not graduate high school, or, oh yeah, you know, getting into college is going to be such a struggle. So I definitely, you know, think that the current school system could be better than it is now and really should try to help, you know, people who are not thriving in the current school system. Yeah. Yeah, so, and I've heard from many people, like, oh, don't worry, grades don't define who you are. Don't worry, you know, just because you got like a, you know, my friend, she's like, talking about her friend, she's like, just because you got to be on the test, that doesn't define you. Okay, so wait, hold up. If grades don't define who you are, what are they defining? Like, they're basically trying to not define who you are, but they're trying to show, like, your knowledge capacity. But is that really true? Like, if you think about it, that's completely false. So what do grades define? Like, how you guys think about that? Yeah, that's basically it.
So she also has a short video and more time to present it, so see if we can get it to play here.
I always hear like big noises in a room and hear a bunch of hammering and then building and drilling.
One time I was hammering something and then I was like, wait, this is a good beat. And so I started hammering random things in my life.
What's similar between music and making is that they both have the ability of freedom. You can do whatever you want. I'm Sasha, I'm 14 years old, and I'm going to the 10th grade. The first time that I knew I had test anxiety was in 8th grade. It was our midterm for English. And I studied really hard for it. And I just remember sitting down at the test, my hands were shaking, and I just was freaking out. And then got a really bad grade. I was going on a trip with my family, and I remember just walking through a cave, and I see a little hole inside the cave. So I asked the cave guide, what's behind that? Is there like another room or something? He's like, we don't know. We don't want to destroy the caves. And I was like, Dad, why don't we build a robot that can go inside there and scan the cave and map it out so we know if the cave is worth being destroyed for that small hole or not.
I saw Sasha building stuff. I'm like, hey, I can build stuff also. My name's Elena. I'm 10 years old and I'm going to 5th grade. A creative person can be anyone, I think. No one has to tell you what to do. You can just like build anything you want. 1, 2, 3, fire!
Right now, my mom just gave me a VCR player, and it was all broken. And right now, I'm trying to take it apart and understand the components.
My name is Kai. I'm 11 years old and I'm going to 6th grade. This is like a big problem to me. When it gets overly hard, I feel like it's not going to be possible. I don't give up because I always know if you just keep trying, you'll get it one time at least.
Before I started the project, I felt like I wasn't the making type. I felt as if I was incapable of building something. After I built the project, I felt stronger, and that boosted me up and saying, hey, you know, I can actually do something. I feel more free when I'm making.
Nice work there. All right, so I'm going to get the next presentation. There we go. And you should be able to advance. Okay, so let me introduce you real quick. So our next panelist is Jason McNett, Professor of Art and Tech at Cabrillo College and Director of their Maker Factory. Payson completed his undergraduate degree at San Jose State, studying as a ceramic artist and using traditional techniques such as pit fire, raku, wood firing, and soda salt firings, which are alternative firing techniques. During graduate studies at Indiana University, he encountered computer-aided design, including rapid prototyping, fused deposition modeling, 3D printing, and CNC technologies, while serving as the art shop coordinator and adjunct professor in figure sculpture, steel fabrication, and woodworking. Before leaving Indiana, he completed a 20-foot tall figure sculpture commissioned by Hoosier Energy in Bloomington. It's a really impressive piece. He's worked extensively in a wide range of media, including screen printing, silver, bronze, aluminum, iron casting, metal fabrication, ceramics, mold making, installation, and woodworking, and currently serves as ceramics adjunct at Cabrillo College in Aptos. He has developed accredited courses in digital fabrication for the arts, as well as teaching jewelry and 3D design courses, workshops, and has built a fully equipped fab lab for the visual applied and performing arts department at Cabrillo College. Welcome, Payson.
Actually, I do have one change I make there. I just got the full-time position as instructor of sculpture, ceramics, and the fab lab, so I'm no longer adjunct, which is that's a big, it's a big jump. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff my artwork that I do on a daily basis, and then a little bit about the program I've created at Cabrillo, and also a little bit about the CCC Maker Initiative, which came out of the Chancellor's Office here in California to build makerspaces at community colleges throughout California. It's the first of its type of initiative that will hopefully roll out throughout the nation in the next few years. So California is a very innovative state. So I love this slide. I don't even know where I found this. I forget, but I put it on the wall in the fab lab. I put it on the wall in my studio. It's a visual aid, just basically explaining the more you share, the more you know. The smaller the unknown